Hello, and welcome to The Reading Room, the podcast brought to you by your Rowan County Public Library. I'm Morgan.
I'm Atlanta.
And I'm Megan.
And we are here to talk about all of the new programming that is coming back in January. Well, it's not new programming. I'm immediately wrong.
Yeah.
Old programming.
It's old programming that had been on like a very long hiatus, and it is finally coming back.
Yes, and we are overjoyed because, of course, there's stuff that we've been doing for a while now that is regular, our perennial programs. We've got Toddler Time, we've got Crafting Around, we've got movie nights, but there are a number of programs that are still in the process of sort of trickling back in. And Megan, you had two of those up, which are two of my favorites. So I've been very disappointed that we haven't been able to have them for a number of months.
And I have been very disappointed as well, especially since every single time I planned on bringing it back, we looked at the COVID numbers and ultimately decided, we better wait a little while to see where this is going.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many times I've tried to kickstart things only for things to end up not working out in days leading up to it.
Mm-hmm. No, because it keeps happening. It seems like every time things seem safe, uh-oh, whoops, oh no, new variant, oh gosh. So
true.
Yeah, it's awful. It's still dangerous out there, folks. Get your shot, wear your mask, especially if you come in here. It is a public space, so think of your fellow patrons. But now, finally, the stars have aligned, the planets have come into conjunction, the prophecy is fulfilled, and by the time that you hear this, we will in fact already have had our first returning instance of Teen Anime Club.
Yes, which I'm very excited about. So even though it will have already passed by the time that this podcast goes up, I can still talk about the first one and what Teen Anime Club is all about, really. So this is a program mainly for 13 through 17-year-olds. However, if you're like 11, 12, I'm perfectly fine with you showing interest. So it's just going to be like a space where we can hang out and chill, watch our favorite anime, and make crafts and activities based on it. So, like, for example, the first one will be My Hero Academia because it is popular, it's cool, and it's good. And
yeah, that's one that everybody can really easily get into.
Mm-hmm. So really, we'll just have My Hero Academia playing while we're making collages, images from the manga, putting them on some cardboard.
Oh, those are so cool.
Ooh, thank you. And then you can put them on display in your room. And I have a few on display, and I plan on having a display in the young adult area for all the anime activities that I have. So I'm still debating on what next month's is going to be. I'm kind of torn because I really want to do Sailor Moon glitter glue.
Oh my, that's cool.
But I also really want to touch on like some Full Metal Alchemist stuff.
Hey, it's every month.
Yeah, whichever one you do this month, you can do the other one next month. But I get it's hard to pick. Sailor Alchemist.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, if you guys show up and there's like a specific anime that you want me to like make an activity for that we can watch, then have at it. I'm very much open for suggestions.
Awesome. Oh, so we're taking requests.
Yes.
That's dangerous.
I know it
because
is.
I'm not 13 to 17. But I have a lot of ideas, and I'm sure that cool kids 13 to 17 who are more in the know.
My only request is to keep it at the very most PG-13.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Because one time I had a person request Tokyo Ghoul. Now, Tokyo Ghoul is a very cool anime. However, it's also very bloody, and I'm like, we're just not going to do that,
right? Because that might be fine for the 17-year-olds, but you also have to think of the 13-year-olds, and it's like, we want this to be a space, as you've said before, and we've talked about it, regarding Anime Club. It is Teen Anime Club,
yes.
And we want it to be a good, positive space for everyone in that age range. So that means that It needs to contain material that everybody can watch and enjoy. Now, you would know better than me.
Okay.
Is the My Hero Academia manga still ongoing, or is it finished?
It's ongoing.
Okay.
Yes.
So then obviously we don't have all of it because all of it hasn't been written, but I know we have a bunch of it.
Yes, we have around 30 volumes of it,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very nice chunk in it. It's like
It's 40 or 50 volumes long by now?
Somewhere in
like
there,
that?
yeah. And I know that if you're watching the anime along with the manga, the anime has covered around 40 of those volumes so far.
So it's not too far behind where the manga is. Like
Right.
they're almost concurrent.
Almost, yeah.
Okay. Well, which means that this is a great time, whether you come to Teen Anime Club and that gets you interested in My Hero Academia, or whether you're already a fan and that's why you come. Now is a good time if you are only engaging one or the other to do both.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've been reading the manga, you should definitely watch the anime. If you've only watched the anime, then like most TV and film adaptations of books, the manga is going to have a lot of stuff in it, a lot of small details and personality, traits and things that don't fully translate or can't quite be covered due to time in the anime. So since we have so much of the manga, now's a great time to read it and play catch up. And if you tear through that series and you get to the end and you find whatever volumes we don't have, then feel free to request them because we will absolutely order them for you and finish out that series. I like Full Metal Alchemist. I think I prefer Brotherhood to the original Full Metal
Yes.
Alchemist. I think it's a better adaptation.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about Full Metal Alchemist is whenever the first anime came out, the manga wasn't finished.
Oh.
So when Brotherhood came out, the manga was finished, so it just followed the manga. However, the people in charge of the anime for the first one, they kind of had to make their own ending.
Okay, so they kind of Game of Thrones
yes,
it.
Exactly.
Okay. Which sometimes that goes great and sometimes it goes poorly.
Yeah, as Game of Thrones fans would tell you.
Exactly. Versus like the original Full Metal Alchemist, it wasn't bad. Brotherhood is just better.
Yes.
And that's because it follows the manga more closely and therefore it's what the author intended. So I love Full Metal Alchemist and I love Sailor Moon too. And I would also be torn on which one to do next.
Yeah, that's true.
Eventually
both. But I guess you would figure out what the activity is for each one and then just decide which one you want to do first.
Right.
Like what seems more fun for a February thing.
See, there's two giant genres in manga and anime, and that's shonen and shoujo. Shonen is mainly
that's like the action,
more action-packed stuff.
Superhero, Naruto.
And shoujo is more romance dedicated and whatnot. And February is Valentine's month. So
that's a good point because true. Sailor Moon, even though there's action and stuff in it,
still categorized as a shoujo anime.
Absolutely. Well, because at the core, like we joke about it, there's that meme, but the real magic was the friendship we found along the way or whatever. I mean, Sailor Moon is like the poster child for the power of friendship.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, we would never have had things like Steven Universe if Sailor Moon hadn't come first. In case Rebecca Sugar's direct shot for shot, frame for frame references in that show were not clue enough. So, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Sailor Moon would be great for February.
Or maybe Fruits Basket.
Well, that's really popular. I mean, it's perennially popular, but also they just remade it.
Yeah.
And I've heard that I've not seen it.
I haven't seen the remake.
But I've heard good critical reviews. So.
I have too. So, anywho, I'm still bouncing around ideas. I should be making a decision here soon. So, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to come by and ask me or check out the young adult area and see what our next activity is going to be.
Awesome. And then at the end of the month, you also have another program, which is Writer's Workshop, which I know several people have asked about, and I've been very interested to see come back.
Yes. Almost every month, somebody has been asking me about Writer's Workshop, and it's my little baby, I will say. So I'm very excited to bring it back. It will be the last Wednesday of every month. from 4:30 to 6:30.
Oh, we should also say on that point, I don't know if we mentioned, Teen Anime Club is the first Wednesday of every month. Same time, so 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., first Wednesday of every month. Writer's Workshop is the last Wednesday of every month, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m.
And who is that for? Like, what age group?
So Writer's Workshop is going to be for 14 plus.
Okay.
So teens and adults are more than welcome to stop by. You don't have to have any writing knowledge other than how to put letters on a paper, for as much as I care. Because anyone can be a writer. People are just too harsh on themselves, if I am being completely honest.
I think that that's true. Like, there are so many people who, it's kind of like I've said in technology classes before to a lot of our senior patrons who they feel like they're so far behind on their computer skills that they can never catch up. And I've told them it's easy to feel like the ignorant or the foolish or the stupid person in the room when everyone else around you has a skill that seems to be coming easily and intuitively, and you're the only one who's struggling. And so it becomes very easy to overlook the fact that it's still a learned skill for them too. So yeah, you have distance to make up, but you can learn it just like they did because they did learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for art. When you look around and you see other people are producing this really great poetry or these really beautiful drawings or this awesome digital art, then it becomes, I think, very easy to look at yourself and go, well, I can't do any of that. So not only do I suck, but also I'll probably never be good at any of those things. And that's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with writing, I think not everyone has an equally easy time turning out visual art.
Mm-hmm.
But writing is something that anyone can do.
Yes. One of the aspects that I knew I wanted to do going into it, and one of the things that, like, a lot of people genuinely enjoy about Writer's Workshop is the fact that I'm not too handholdy with everything. Like, I want the people who attend the program to experience writing the way that they want to experience it, because that's the best way to hone your style, honestly. I just kind of make like little guiding points, and you do the rest. So, for example, this coming Writer's Workshop is going to be all about finding inspiration in yourself, in the world you live in, and in the people that you live in, and how to overcome things like writer's block and just general gaps where you are not entirely for sure what you should be writing. And I'm just providing like a little bit of a bridge to help you, or to give you the steps on how to overcome that kind of stuff.
I think that that's important because you can look around. This is a library. You can look around at all of the many, many books on our shelves, fiction, nonfiction, everything in between. And that's proof that anyone with sufficient time and resources and motivation can do it. Now, that's not to say everybody has all of those in equal measure, because goodness knows that all of us, even sitting here, you never have all of them at the same time. It's always a problem. If you have the time, you don't have the energy. If you have the energy, you don't have the motivation, and so on. But if you never try, if you never practice, you'll never be able to do it. You'll never get any better. You'll never know what you're capable of. And I think a lot of folks get trained by like public school and to a lesser degree by college to dislike writing and reading, because you're only ever reading something for an assignment. You're never reading for pleasure. You're reading for homework, which immediately prejudices you against it, because it's like, especially as a kid or a teen, what's the best way to get me to hate something? Tell me I have to do it.
Exactly.
And writing is the same way. You're given a prompt, and if you were told, okay, here's your idea, now just go. Some people get paralyzed by that, I think, because people were too handholdy early on. And in grade school and middle school, I know I saw a lot of teachers say, not only this is what I want you to write, but this is how I expect you to write it. There is a correct way. And then, of course, you get graded on it, which teaches you if you don't follow those rules, you did it wrong. So now you don't like it and you did it wrong. So that's definitely not something you're going to go home and do for fun.
And that kind of sticks throughout life. Like, you feel like you have to fit within the certain boundaries that were laid out so young. That, like, I guess, like Megan said, people are going to be really hard on themselves because they're thinking about, like, the right and wrong way to write, and there's not one, but you learned it academically.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and I think that kind of free writing is really important, being taught that the first step is unlearning your dislike for it, and like, no. It is okay to do it how you want to do it. If you want to tell that story in this way, that's totally fine. And a lot of folks, it's eye-opening. They, what? I can just write anything? Yeah.
You don't have to start at the very beginning. You can start wherever you want. And even in the writing process, you don't have to have the beginning of your story all laid out. If you want to start with a scene that has just been like replaying in your mind every night right before you go to bed, like on Monday night, it will be character A and character B doing something. And then Tuesday night, it will be character A, character B doing something, but a little bit more toward the left in your visual preference. Feel free to just write that scene down, get it out of your head, and then work your way around it. Like, there are no rules to writing other than putting words down on a paper. So.
Absolutely. Because that's a really good point, because I write a lot. And I have found over many, many years and a lot of struggling that my strength is I need to come up with an ending first, because if I have a beginning or a middle and don't have an end, I really get stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And I've done that too many times where I have a great idea for an opener, and then what happens is it has no direction. I don't know where it's going or what it's aimed at, so it just kind of peters out. And if I have an ending, then that's like, okay, I know where we're going. It's a destination. It becomes like planning a trip. Now I know how to get there, because even if I don't know all the steps, I can say, well, we have to start from somewhere, and I can work backwards and figure that out, because if this is where you wind up, you had to have gotten there somehow, and only these things could have happened. And that's really helpful for me. And because of that, once I have an ending, I find myself doing exactly that. Like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and grab my phone and start pecking out notes that are not going to make any sense when I wake up the next day. And it's like, okay, and then she does this, and then they do this, and then he says the thing, and then I fall back asleep. And the next day it's like, wow, that was really good. Or sometimes it's like, what was I talking about? In equal measure, but still the passion is there because you have a story and you have momentum behind it. But you have to figure out where you get that momentum from, and that can be the trick.
Right.
My favorite type of beginning is an ending anyway. Like, it happens in books a lot, but even more so in TV or movies. Like, think of like you're seeing something really climactic and you're telling yourself like, what the heck's going on? And then there's a record scratch moment.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Exactly. And I love that. Or like a show where you're really familiar with the characters, but it starts off with like, we're in the ambulance on our way to the hospital. Like, whoa, what happened? Like, I love those episodes. Well, so I feel like a story, if you come up with an ending, you might even just pop that at the beginning and give people a little something to look forward to.
No, that's a really good tip.
That make you forget, because I have seen books that start at the end and completely make you forget that you've already seen what happens until it happens at the end of the book, and you're like, oh my God.
No, that is really good, because, I mean, it grabs you right away.
Oh, yeah.
When you say something like, so then I died.
Yes.
And it's like, well, how did we get here? Or, it all came to an end the night of the explosion or whatever. And immediately you're like, whoa, wait a second. I feel
Go
like
back to that.
Yeah, wait, how do we get to what? Wait, what?
I thought this was a teen romance movie. What?
Yeah, it's like, wow, I thought what? So no, that's a very effective way to grab my attention for sure, is show me something that I have no context for, and then tell me, oh no, you need to hear this story. And honestly, think about how natural that is. When you're telling a cool story to your friends, how often do you go, okay, so, you guys probably remember me telling you about the Great Bathroom Explosion Jamboree of 2018, and someone in the room goes, I'm sorry?
What?
Oh wait, I have told
now?
you that story before.
Yeah, like it's like the what, and then you have to go. Oh, I'm sorry.
Here's how that toilet exploded.
Yeah, here's how that happened.
This is true. Nobody starts their stories with, I woke up this morning and then I had breakfast. Like, you start with the most interesting part, and somebody tells you, I need a little more explanation.
Yeah,
It's the hook.
Exactly. Yeah,
the
you
hook.
lead with the hook and you go, so I met this really cute guy today. Or, oh my God, I had the best sandwich of my life at this little place. Or, oh my gosh, I almost died on the way into work this morning. And then someone inevitably goes, ooh, tell me more.
What happened?
And that's why you start that way. And it's so natural to the way that we talk and think that you don't even consider that. But when you start a story that way, it creates the same effect.
Mhm.
Yeah, like on TikTok, for example, like you'll just be browsing through your For You page, you'll see like this most absurd thing going on, and then you'll check out the comments to see if they posted a part 2 or a story time,
Mhm.
because the story times will always give like background information on what you were seeing in that original video. It made you like, wait, hold on, what's going on here?
Yeah, which is even more proof that you should give it a try. If there's a medium in which you are interested, give it a shot. You're not hurting anybody by just trying it out, least of all yourself, because TikTok is a perfect example of it hasn't been around that long. And even though it kind of stepped in to fill the void of some other stuff like Vine, which went by the wayside, they're not identical. And you can see people playing in that space and creating new forms of art and new ways to use it while it's new, like striking while the iron is hot. So who knows? You know, you have a story to tell that nobody else has ever told before because it's yours. And even if you are telling a story someone else has told, you're going to tell it in your own way. So there's still a value to it. You're still saying something that hasn't been said before, and it's worth trying.
You can't plagiarize yourself.
Hey, there you go. Now that I want that on a
Actually,
t-shirt.
my 5th grade teacher would disagree with you.
Well, I will throw some hands
You
with
can't
your.
use the same assignment over and over again. 'cause
Well,
that is plagiarizing yourself.
I will throw hands with your.
Maybe you could
5th
cite
grade.
it though.
Yeah.
That is
You're like,
literally
from my own self.
imagine being in a 6th grade English class and having an annotated bibliography of your own previous homework
These are my
assignments.
thoughts.
The footnote
Yeah.
is just like, I saw this in a dream one time.
Oh my gosh, if I could go back in time. But speaking of time, another thing that is coming up at the end of January, the last Tuesday of this month, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., we are bringing back another program that has been on hiatus for a while, which is On Board.
Is it about trains or something? You
Well,
nerd?
That's
hey,
all aboard.
Oh,
listen.
okay.
Listen, you think you're joking, but I'm pretty sure that we have Ticket to Ride back there.
Ooh.
See, because
Cool.
On Board, of course, is our tabletop gaming program, which I host, and I've been very sad that we haven't been able to have it for like 2 years.
Yeah, I
Like
feel
2 years.
you.
Do you realize by the time that this goes up for people to listen to, we will already have been saying for a week that the pandemic was the year before last, like started the year before last.
Oh,
my
God.
It's no longer last year, it's the year before last.
And here I thought the biggest concern in my mind was trying to figure out how the people in NYC are going to make 2022 into glasses. Like,
oh man. It's just it's rough. It's rough all around, both for the sunglass designers and for the rest of us.
It's true.
And so, you know, just considering all of that, I think we could all use a distraction and we could use a break and a little fun. And so we're bringing back On Board 4 to 6 p.m. last Tuesday of the month, again, is when that's going to be. You can join me in the community room. We break out board games, card games, and this is recommended for 13 and up. It's not just for teens only. It is for teens and adults. If you have a little kid, if you have a younger brother or sister or sibling, then of course you can bring them. And we have some things like chutes and ladders and so forth that if they want to occupy themselves or if you want to play with them. But we also focus on a specific board game or card game each month. And this month's featured game is Boss Monster from Brotherwise Games, which if you guys haven't played it,
I have not, so please
I've never
explain
heard
it
of
to
it.
us.
it's very good. It's really simple. There's a shallow learning curve, so it's real quick to pick up, but it can get complex, and there's a lot of skill and strategy involved very quickly. It's a layered game. It is inspired by old retro video games, and your job is that you choose a specific boss monster to be at the end of a dungeon, and then you use cards to build the best side-scrolling dungeon you can.
Whoa.
And heroes of different types are attracted to your dungeon based on what kind of treasures and traps and monsters you put in there. And you are trying to defeat them before they get to you and collect points. And when you defeat a certain number of heroes, you win if you're the first person to collect that many points. But if the hero gets to you and fights your boss monster, then of course you take damage. And so if too many heroes get to you, you will be taken out of the game.
Ooh.
That's so interesting.
So you're playing as like the villain. That's
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Like asteroids?
Yeah. Yeah, so you're playing like Frankenstein's monster, you're playing a dragon or whatever. It's the end of the dungeon, and you can use your spells and items and other things like that to sabotage your opponent's dungeons. Is kind of where the strategy comes in, because you're not only building your dungeon to attract the kind of heroes you want and try to rack up the most points, you're also trying to use your resources to stymie your opponents by doing things like destroying their rooms, or even giving heroes in their dungeon an advantage, like letting them skip over a trap or automatically win a challenge, so that way they get through the enemy dungeon and fight the boss monster while you're sitting pretty at the end with no heroes.
Ooh.
Sounds vicious.
Sounds very fun.
And
sounds very table flippy. I love it.
I'm into it because it is one that I have at home. And it's 2 to 4 players. It's best with more people, I've found, than less. Like, you can play it with 2, but it's best with 3 or 4. But it's inexpensive, which is great, because nowadays, especially if you leave standard board games like Monopoly, like the kind of American board games we're used to thinking about, and you go into the more complex, what they call continental board games, the ones that originated in Europe. So Ticket to Ride, Betrayal at House on the Hill, or especially like the big ones like Gloomhaven or Scythe. Those can get really complicated really quickly. They come with a lot of moving parts, a lot of pieces. Many of them even have expansions like a video game that add additional content. And so they can be very expensive. The base set might cost $50, $60, $70, $80 or more. And then to buy all of the content, like, goodness help you, if you want to own all of Dead of Winter or all of Betrayal, then it might cost you a couple $100 or more. And if you're a fan of the game, that's great. But that can also mean that if you don't have a way to try it out and see whether or not you're going to like it before you buy, it's a risky purchase.
It's true.
So this way, we give you a chance to try these games and see what you think. And if you like them, then you can go home and you can order them through like our local bookstore, Coffee Tree Books will order board games for you if they don't already carry them. So you can get them right here in town.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, they'll order your Dungeons and Dragons books for you and stuff like that, which we also have on the shelf. If you play tabletop role playing, we've got D&D, we've got Blades in the Dark, we've got Call of Cthulhu, we've got Numenera. We have all of those. So this gives you a chance to try those things out, see what you think. And I wanted to put Boss Monster out there because it's one that I know for sure is fun, and it's one that's fairly affordable. So if you enjoy it when you come to January's On Board, which again will be the 25th of January, because that is the last Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m., and you have fun, then you can get a copy pretty easily. So hopefully you will come and you will enjoy it. And if we have too many players, not everybody can play Boss Monster, that's fine. We've got other games.
I'm glad that you bring that point up about it being a way to try things out, because I feel like that's one of the main benefits of libraries to like the general public, like to just any person. Come into a library and check something out before purchasing it. We've got video games and books. I have not bought something for myself in years. I mean, maybe in my life, because I've always been a library user, but like buying books is just almost unnecessary until you're sure that it's something you want to own. And we're the same way with video games, so why not also expand that into board games? I think that that's really cool.
Absolutely. Try a board game, try a video game, take it home, see if you like it, and if you do, and then you decide it's worth $50 or $40 or whatever, then buy it.
Yeah.
If you want to read a new book and you're trying a new genre, maybe getting outside your comfort zone and trying something you don't normally read, trying a new author, then you can read their first book, or you can read a sci-fi book or a Western or what have you. And then if you like it and you like physical books, then go buy your own. If you like music, or if you want to listen to new music or a new artist, if you're not sure you're going to like Lady Gaga's newest album, come here, check it out, take it home and listen to it. And if you really love it, then go download it on Spotify and pay for it, or, buy the CD or what have you.
Because it can be really hard, especially to buy video games. Like, we've got so many Switch games here, and if you're paying $60 a piece for each game, Breath of the Wild is crazy hard. Imagine buying that game for, your 6-year-old kid and then realizing how hard it is. I would rather check it out from the library first, and then they're like, oh, I don't like this game.
Absolutely, especially because in recent years, as video games have become more and more of a digital download product, even though they're still making physical video games, so many games are digital download only now, especially on PC versus consoles. And even consoles are moving that way, where I think the PS5 has 2 versions, and the default version doesn't have a disc drive. You have to pay an extra $100 to get the optical drive.
Crazy.
Because they're phasing that out. Optical media is becoming it's a dying media. So they want you to download it digitally. Well, one of the consequences of that is you would think it would make it easier to distribute a demo. But people have kind of stopped doing it because they've gotten in. I think a lot of developers are trapped in the culture of, for time restrictions, deadline restrictions, budget restrictions, whatever, or because they have a big publisher looming over them, going go, 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 then it becomes difficult to set up a demo and distribute it, and instead they just push the game out, and then when people give them feedback and say, oh, hey, this has got bugs, or hey, I found a glitch or an exploit, then they just patch it, because it's a digital game, so they can do that even on your PlayStation or your Nintendo Switch. You couldn't do that on a Super Nintendo because the game was what it was. So when it went to market, they had to make sure it had to be fully cooked all the way through. And now they can release half-baked video games and just patch them on launch day, because the system is different. So there are fewer demos, which means that it's harder to try a game before you buy it and see if it's going to hook you. And so this is a great way to do it. And of course, you have to remember, there are no demos for books or board games or audiobooks or movies. Well, I guess there are demos for movies. That's what a trailer is, isn't it? Kind of.
I would also argue that there are demos for books. If you can find the first chapter of a book easy.
That's true. Places. That's true. Do you know? Have you guys ever seen this? They used to do it a lot, and I don't know how often they still do it, but they used to do this quite often. When an author was popular, pick someone like, say, R.A. Salvatore, who writes a lot of fantasy novels. You would read one of that author's books, and at the end of their book, there would be chapter 1 or the prologue of another book they were already working on, or that was about to be published but maybe wasn't out yet, to try and hook you. So it's if you enjoyed this novel, you'll love this new series from 5-time, Hugo Award-winning author so-and-so. Check out the first chapter here, which was kind of like buying a video game. It comes packaged with a demo for another game from the same developer or something. It
always works
kind of odd.
Too. It always hooked me and made me go, oh my god, another one.
Well, I'll say this, even if I didn't read that other book, I did at least read the sample chapter.
That's true. We have people come in all of the time that are like, do you have this book? And it's just in a list at the back of one of our other books. And we end up having to order a whole collection from those lists because people get hooked from what they've read in the back.
Absolutely. And speaking of getting outside your comfort zone and lists of books, by the time that this podcast comes out and y'all are listening to it, and I hope you are listening, if you aren't, Megan will be sad.
Can you hear me?
I will be very sad. Can you not see me frowning right now? Just thinking.
She's weeping openly. Think of the Megans. So a new blog post will already have been posted. So if you haven't checked that out, of course, the first day of every month, Atlanta has a new blog post out, which has reading recommendations for all age groups. And we will also have marked the beginning of a new season of staff picks, which I think this time around share a theme.
Yeah, they're very similar, almost identical. For the blog, the staff pick. For the blog, the theme is going to be New Year, New You. So it's kind of going to be about not self-help type of stuff, but self-growth. I've got Stephen King's On Writing, like
I
for
saw
how
that,
to,
yeah.
oh, I'm so excited. I think people will enjoy that. And then there were a couple of other ones that I thought people might find interesting. For the young readers, because I divide it into different age groups. We've got young readers, young adult, and then also adult. And in the young readers section, I have the cutest little book. It's called The Nervous Knight. And it's about a knight who we never really know about the gender of the knight. It always says they. But this knight, I think, has anxiety. And this knight is too nervous to do the work that the other knights are doing. So whenever they attend practice, the clothes are too heavy and they're nervous that they're just not going to do well enough. And I think it's a very interesting little tale and very cute little tale about like how our little people, our small children might be able to handle when they have feelings that they're not sure how to define.
I think that that's very important, actually, because I wish I had had a book like that as a child. Because I had access to a lot of good children's books, but of course that was a while ago. And time changes.
Yeah.
Authors write new stuff and they touch on topics that were too hot button or that weren't widely enough explored or talked about at the time and so forth. And I actually just watched a video not very long ago, a few days ago, that was very interesting. It's about anxiety and about how prevalent it's become in our society in recent years and why. And part of that is because we're studying and talking about it more, and we're realizing, as there's more people, even if the percentage doesn't change, 5% of 8 billion people is more than 5% of 8 million people by a lot. So that means that a lot more people have anxiety or they struggle with depression or ADHD or all kinds of stuff like that, bipolar disorder, imposter syndrome. And our society, unfortunately, does a lot of things that encourage those mental illnesses sometimes, and maybe not enough to help. And so having those resources that you can access is really important for kids who have questions, for parents who have questions, because this video specifically delved into the difference between how things like anxiety manifest differently in adults and in children, because you might be a perfectly healthy child who develops anxiety as an adult later on, but some kids do get anxiety. And it's always great to read a book or watch a movie or something and see yourself in it.
Absolutely.
Even if it's something negative, like it lets you know
you're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone, which is the most powerful thing maybe that there is knowing that you're not completely by yourself.
I think I find that so important in children's books especially, but it's nice to see it everywhere.
And I also feel like, especially in a children's book like this, the sooner that kids can learn about their feelings, understand them, then the sooner that they know how to make those more negative feelings feel better about themselves as well.
Yeah, like if you teach children early on that it's okay to have questions and that it is natural to ask about the things that they're feeling, then that is step one in teaching them how to process those things in a healthy way. So, which is why this whole new year, new you, talking about, like you said, not self-improvement, but not even self-help, but self-growth.
Yeah.
Promoting the progress you want to see in yourself.
I think that it's important for all ages, and it was interesting trying to find something for the kiddos that would kind of apply to that. And once I started finding them, I couldn't stop. So my other favorite from my list is called Mary Wears What She Wants, and it's based on a true story about a little girl way back in the days. I can't.
Like Victorian era, I think.
Can't think of random years. I know other people have historical skills where they can say a year and know what they're talking about. But if I said a year, you would be like, that's Pilgrims. I'm not talking about Pilgrims.
No.
But it's at the time where girls only wear dresses and boys only wear pants. And there was a little girl, a young girl, that just kind of wondered why. And so she put her slacks on one day, or her brother's slacks, because like it was a pair that would fit. And she just started wearing them. And when her people would ask like what's going on with that kid, she'd just smile. And people would ask her parents like, what are you doing about Mary? And they shrug and say Mary wears what she wants. And Mary started a whole new world. Like we wear pants now.
Mm-hmm.
At least a lot of women wear pants. I won't say that everybody wears pants, of course, but there was a time when no one wore pants. So I
Yeah.
think it's an interesting story about how someone really young can make a difference about things that we just accept as fact.
Yeah.
Something that we just expect. They're allowed to ask those questions and push those boundaries too.
Yeah, no, I think that that's also a very important message for all of us, not just for kids, but children are the ones who it's proof that a lot of the things that we do, as you said, that we just accept as a given, are things that we've kind of made up as we're going along for some reason, for whatever reason, or someone else made them up and we just all agreed to play by the same rules for some reason, maybe because we were told we had to, or maybe because we just never thought twice about it. And children are the ones who, because none of us come pre-programmed like a video game. We come with bugs and everything still in, and a blank slate. So it is always a child who looks around and goes, why do we do it though?
Why?
But why? And adults, we hate those questions because then we have to answer them. And sometimes we don't have an answer. And that makes us sad and upset because we do the thing and we don't know why. And that's why that's where that chain always inevitably goes. But why? Well, because. Why? Well, because. Why? Well, because. Why? Well, I don't know. I've done the thing my whole life, and now I don't know why I'm doing it. Come to think of, oh no. Oh, you've ruined everything, small imaginary child. Get out. Be gone from my sight.
How we want to just become all-knowing when there's a younger being in our life. Like, it's like, oh, now I'm so smart, even though we used to doubt ourselves. But once they start to doubt us, it's so humbling.
Well, you have to be dependable. And of course, Atlanta puts a lot of work into these blog posts. You should absolutely go check out these reading recommendations because they are dependable.
And it's also purple.
Yes.
A purple blog.
Yeah, if you're asking why we do things in a certain color. So, there's a made-up rule. Blue is for boys and pink is for girls. Do you know just a little while ago, like less than 100 years, it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Blue was a girl color, quote unquote, and red was for boys.
Yeah.
So there you go. Purple's for everybody.
That is right. I know more people that purple is their favorite color than any other color.
There you go. There should be more purple people, as the child's book says. And
Harold of the Purple Crayon.
Yeah. Oh, I love that as a kid.
So does he eat purple people, or is he a purple people eater?
A question that
Harold, not neither.
Yeah, that's not a question I came to the table prepared for today. So I'm just gonna breeze past it.
Get humbled, punk.
Get dunked on.
The difference between the two themes, the staff picks are very similar to the blog, but it's not the same because staff picks are New Year, New Me. And the blog was New Year, New You. So the staff picks, the idea is that those on the staff at the library will think for themselves what that theme really means. So it could be something similar to what we did with the blog, or it could be a whole nother branch of what they think New Year, New Me means. So you're going to get some self-help, you're going to get some growth, you're going to get some recipes. There's going to be all kinds of different stuff. I think we even have a movie on there this time around. That's going to be fun. I haven't picked mine. Hopefully they'll be interesting because I already picked 15 and I'm running out of things to do.
I know for me, thinking about the theme, it was like breaking out of my comfort zone with this new year because the pandemic has forced a lot of us to do a lot of that. We have had to learn new skills. Right. Many people have used it as an opportunity to do so, or to learn a new language, or to work on a bad habit, or to work on a good habit. So that was kind of like, that's my thought, is I want to introduce some material that's, here's something I wasn't doing before that I am now, or here's something that I'm now doing differently. Or here is me moving out of, like, I read a lot of, if you've listened to the podcast, then you know that I typically read a lot of fantasy, a lot of science fiction. That's kind of my comfort zone when it comes to fiction. And I need to read more nonfiction that's not for, like, professional purposes. Like, just to have read it because it's good to read. And also, I should probably be reading more romance, more westerns, stuff like that, more non-supernatural thrillers. More true crime, more everything, because I kind of stay in my comfort zone when I pick up a book often, unless something grabs me right away. So I want to take that as an opportunity. This has grabbed me. Why did it grab me? What do I like about this? And why did it pull me in this direction? Let's keep going that way and see if we can find more. I think that it's to use a food analogy, it's like, I'm not a big fan of onions, but a lot of people really love onions. So I feel like I'm missing out on something. And rather than just say, well, I hate onions and I don't want onions in anything and the rest of you are all wrong, it's, for me, I'm on a quest to find ways that I enjoy onions in my food, because then that's great. Then you've added something positive rather than focusing on the negative. It's like, if you can show me a new way that I've never had onions, I'm going to try it at least once, because maybe I'll like it. And if I do, that's great. Now I have a way that I'll eat onions. So it's the same thing with literature, with film, with video games, with everything, is give it a chance and maybe you'll like it. So give some of these books a chance. Check out our staff picks. Check out our digital collections on Libby, because, again, this is January now that you're listening to this. Overdrive is going away in February, so you need to be switching to Libby. It's the same catalog, same login, same collections, and even the same reading progress. It's all going to be tracked in the app. So make sure that you're using Libby and getting away from Overdrive. And use our other apps too, like Hoopla and Freeding. And check out the blog. Check out our staff picks. Check out our community-curated reading collection on Libby. And come check out these programs. Maybe you will learn something that will push your boundaries, get you out of your comfort zone, and help you feel better about yourself in this new year. When you come to Writer's Workshop, when you come to Teen Anime Club and see something cool and new, or when you come to On Board and find a new game you can take home and play with your friends.
Or whenever you check out the blog and find a new book for your collection.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got to keep that collection growing. You gotta. And don't forget our other standard programs, of course. Our perennial stuff will still be at the same time. So toddler time will be every Tuesday at 10:15 a.m. Children's story time will be every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Movie night will be the third Thursday of the month at 5:30 p.m., which I believe is January the 20th. And that's going to be our first R-rated film, which is My Salinger Year, which I'm very excited to see. So we've got a lot of good stuff going on. Check out our website at rowancountylibrary.org. And if you go to rowancountylibrary.org/events, we have our events calendar, which is a Google Calendar, so you can add it to your Google Calendar or whatever calendar app you use, and it's got everything that we're doing on it all the time, including holiday closures, cancellations, any new programs, our board meeting schedule, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to participate in the library, if you want to be here and be part of what we're doing, we want you to be part of it too. So make sure to check all of that out. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time when we come back with a new episode on January the 22nd. And then we'll go back to our regular schedule starting with February the 5th. Until then, I'm Morgan.
I'm Atlanta.
And I'm Megan, peace signing.
And this has been The Reading Room, the podcast brought to you by your Rowan County Public Library.